Hello there. So I've been kind of sick the past week, so I'm a little behind on things, so we're gonna do a quick portal room build. As it is right now, it's not great, but I have some blocks here. I've done a little bit of prep, and we're gonna see how quickly we can get it done while also still making it look nice. Let's get building. Yeah? Okay. Also, I have a new outfit, and I love it so much. Anyway, yeah. So this should be fairly simple. Let me show you what we're working with to start. It's a little rough. The portal isn't even centered. So this actually goes into a nether fortress. And over here is where I've been digging for netherite. Specifically over here. So yeah, I've been keeping myself busy, for sure. Yeah, I now have full netherite armor now too, so this is great. Maybe someday I'll clean this up, but right now it works. I also want this to be the entrance to the actual base, so I'm going to be moving the Waystone that I have here into this room. As for the actual block palettes, well, I've picked some things out. I don't know that I'm going to use all of them. I guess we're going to figure that out. And I'm also going to be placing in a warp plate that should get us up to the surface a lot faster than the bubble column I've been using. As of right now, it's been... This is my current to the surface setup. That takes forever to go up, that's why I'm not going. But we're gonna grab that, because we're gonna move it. I just don't really want it to be part of the storage room anymore, so we're just gonna move it into here. Alright, let's get going. I have everything on me, so I shouldn't have to go back to this chest over here. I'm actually gonna remove it because I keep trying to go to it. So, let's do this. I actually had absolutely no idea what I was doing with this, so I decided to start simple. For the floor, I went with polished blackstone bricks, and for the walls, I went with dark oak planks. Of course, this is not what I'm going to end with. I find it helpful to just block things in like this, just to get an idea of the shape. I usually start with one block, but occasionally I'll add in a second one if I think it will help me actually see the shape better, like I am with the logs here. Once I had those the way I wanted them, I decided to add in some arches that would kind of mirror the ones in the hallway, but also connect these sections a little bit better. And to add some dimension to the other side of the room, I actually decided to bring those little sections to the other side. And once I got that basic shape, it was time to figure out what I wanted to do for the portal. I was floating around a few ideas, but I decided to actually put the portal in the corner of the room because I wanted it to be in the center of the room, but it's kind of hard since there's two open sides. I paid extra attention to where the obsidian was so that I could tuck it away and hide it so that it doesn't look like every other nether portal. One of the things to consider for a nether portal, if you're going for aesthetics, is that you can see the block behind it through the portal. So I decided to swap out that cobblestone for some blackstone and fill it in on both sides. I really appreciate that Minecraft does give you the flexibility to make different sized portals, since it gives you a lot of options. Once I had a spot for my waystone marked out, it was time to actually frame in the rest of the portal. I decided I wanted to cover all of the obsidian and make sure none of it was visible, and then I added some arches. And now that I had the portal figured out, it was time to add some warp plates. So I kind of wouldn't mind having like a couple different warp plates around, So like even if I had them like kind of on the sides like this. I don't know what they go to yet. But they will each have their own attuned shard that if I make a second one on the outside, I should be able to actually just go ahead and step on this and this will go to the actual place. Right now, they currently are all attuned to themselves. So if I were to just swap two of them real quick, I can kind of show you how these work. Just boop. And if I wanted to go back, since they're attuned to each other, that's pretty much all there is to that. That will be super useful, and I think I will have different places, maybe even around the base, just to make it a little easier to navigate. But then our actual big waystone will be right here. There just might be one small flaw with this. You know, I kind of forgot that could happen. Huh. How do you keep that from happening again? Is there a way you can keep that from happening? He can teleport? Oh no. That's a small problem. Can items teleport? Hang on, if I actually swap these, can you teleport items with these? Oh my gosh, you can. You learn something new every day. As a bit of a fix for this, maybe, I decided to put the warp plates up on some mangrove logs and make it a little bit more of a decorative touch. I also tried to put some trapdoors across the portals to maybe keep the zombie piglins out, but I couldn't make it look good, so I kind of just trashed that idea. It was also really dark this entire time, so I decided to start incorporating some shroom lights now that I finally have access to them. And to address the piglin in the room, I was filming this on Halloween, and apparently one of my mods make mobs spawn with pumpkins on their heads on Halloween. I didn't know this until today. As I left him to his own devices, I was playing around with different blocks, just replacing small parts around the room, so I tried out some nether bricks to kind of tie in the nether theme a little bit, and I wasn't really happy with the way that it looked, so I tried a few different things. And our little friend may have left. But of course, it wasn't long before he was replaced by yet another zombie piglin with a pumpkin. At this point, I decided it would probably be a good idea to put some fence gates in front of the portal so that at the very least if they do spawn, they can't get into the room with me. I also experimented with placing these elsewhere, and I didn't like it. So they went away. The issue I was having with the dark oak stripped logs is that they were just a little too light. For some reason, it just looked wrong every time I stepped back, so I tried with spruce, and I wasn't a big fan of that. So then I decided to actually change the floor to maybe help me with this. I did end up going with stone brick, even though I originally didn't want to, but I think it works a lot better, so I can bring up that black color that I had before up into the walls instead. I also apologize for how chaotically I placed these blocks. Once I got the floor replaced, I was much happier with this, although I still thought that those pillars needed to be a lot darker. I still wanted to incorporate some blackstone, and one of my mods, Stoneworks, added something that was going to work really well. And that is blackstone pillars. They're similar to basalt pillars, but they're much darker, and I think they worked really great here. I just didn't quite have enough to do both at once, which is why I tore them down to see which one I preferred. Once I got some more made, I was able to compare them a little more directly, and I really liked the way that the red nether brick popped. I also definitely preferred this over the dark oak logs, so I went through and replaced all of those. I was so much happier with it once everything was replaced, that it was time to move on to the Waystone. I didn't want it to just be on the floor, so I decided to make it a little pedestal. Out of shroom lights. I was trying to see if I could use it to illuminate the room a little better, but it just wasn't quite working out as well as I had hoped. Of course, I was never going to leave it like that, at least, so I did try covering the top with both red and black carpet at some point, taking advantage of the paintbrushes that the Arts and Crafts mod add, and it just wasn't quite working, so I had actually tried inserting the shroom lights into the walls as well, and that helped illuminate the room a lot more evenly than just trying to do it through the Waystone. I even managed to hide a shroom light back by the portal since one of the blocks was covered by trapdoors. For the Waystone itself, I decided to go with a pop of red as the block surrounding it using red nether brick, and I also placed a shroom light under the actual stone itself. I also removed the shelves that I added to keep the piglins off the warp plates, and then there was just maybe a few more steps. One of which is adding the ceiling. I started off with a ring of polished black stone brick stairs, just to kind of raise the ceiling up a little bit and give it a little bit more dimension, as the actual ceiling was more stone brick. I used slabs to just save on materials, and something maybe a little unexpected happened. Zombie? Where? What? Where's the zombie? Did I just accidentally make something that's spawnable? Okay. Where did you come from? What is happening? I'm in an ancient city. Where did they spawn? Turns out this is an old bug that was fixed in 1.20.1, and those were reinforcements. Fun! I decided as one last quick little detail, I wanted to add some banners behind the warp plates so I could more easily tell them apart. I decided to actually put black banners underneath and colorful ones above so that they could kind of just fade into each other and look a lot longer, just to fill the space a bit better. I did technically recolor white banners to be black, but I think the effect works a lot better. Alright. I might end up replacing these, I don't know yet, but honestly, I'm actually really happy with this. For how quick of a project this was, I'm honestly super happy with how it turned out. It's very colorful, very cozy, and honestly it has that kind of fancy vibe to it that I was going for. There's maybe a few places I could do a little bit more detailing, but for now this is actually really practical as well. I can't wait to get all of these Waystones and things like that hooked up to various locations, and honestly, the location of that actual Waystone is so much better than where it was before, because I don't have to feel like I just teleported into a closet. Because that's how it's felt. But for now, I think this is going to be it for today. And next time you see me, I should be working on a high capacity smelter, because that's kind of what I need the most right now. And then after that, probably more of the machines, and I will hopefully start filling out that first hallway. And yeah, so if you've made it this far, I really appreciate you being here, and I hope to see you soon. Goodbye!